introduced me before, but my name is Peggy Nelson. I live in northern Taos County and was asked to come just to try to facilitate things. So the first one who is up is Rick Abram of the Citizens of Ebeys Reserve? Ebeys, thank you, on Whidbey Island.
As a kid with the last name of Abraham, I always got called first for everything and hated it. So here we go again. Who am I? I'm here representing the citizens of Ebeys National Historic Reserve. They're located on Whidbey Island. I moved to Whidbey Island from Texas. I've been there about 8 years. Like a lot of people, I moved there for the peace and quiet and quality of life. And of course, we don't have that. We don't have it where I live, and the folks who live in and around Ebeys National Historic Reserve, they don't have it either. The problem is these Growler jets. F-18 jets, they're the loudest jets ever made. They fly low over people's homes, over places of business, parks, schools, hospitals, and they generate hazardous levels of noise, levels of noise that have been documented to cause harm to people, wildlife, to value properties. And we heard some of those horror stories last night, and people have their own experiences in their own communities. Of course, these are Navy jets. An environmental impact study is being done. These studies are supposed to look at the potential harms of these military operations. It's interesting because the harms are occurring before the study is completed. Shows you how serious they are about how much they really care about the harms that they do. There's a history of jets flying at this location. Before the Growlers, the F-18s, there were the Prowlers, but there's never been a complete environmental impact statement done on any jet flying at Whidbey Naval Air Station or the outlying field. And I want to talk about the outlying field because we saw a great presentation last night where they wanted to place an outlying field. I believe it was North Carolina, and people fought that successfully. Way to go. You give inspiration to folks back where we are in our island, to all of us. You know, we can win these fights. And we need to learn from the lessons that we need to learn from what you did, and we will. Unlike your situation in North Carolina, we didn't have politicians on our side, not a single one, because the Navy is located right where they want to do this major expansion, continue flying these jets. And so we have hostile politicians, we have scared politicians that are on the fence, won't take a position. And behind it we have the Navy and their front groups that have created divisions in the community. We have a divided island, threats of violence. It's a very ugly situation. So, and then there's the jobs blackmail. You know, we're going to be against the jobs. I'm sure some of you have heard this in your own fights. You know, like if these folks want to move the base, they want to close down the base, we're going to lose our economic base and jobs, and the community will suffer. You know, the same old stuff. It's interesting. I come out of a background of community organizing around environmental issues. And we used to hear that pollution was the smell of money. And now this jet noise is the sound of freedom. What it is the sound of freedom being denied. These Growlers, it's the sound of $86 million jets, probably more now, ruining the lives of people and flying at just an outrageous cost to us all. But the problem is not just the Growlers, as you know. The problem is the Navy. It's a problem. It's the military culture. It's the politicians who no longer represent their constituents, who bow to pressure from special interests. And to be honest, the problem to some degree is with us and people who have forgotten how to fight and for too long have trusted their lives, their safety, their interests to someone else, to politicians. That's not how democracy was supposed to work. It's not how it worked in the beginning. So we got to make it work again, which means we have to take control, we have to be involved, and we have to learn how to fight back. Citizens of Ebeys Reserve started out, in my opinion, as a NIMBY group, not in my backyard. But what they learned in the fight, which a lot of people have learned, is you can't win these fights without allies. And it's wrong to shift a problem in your backyard to someone else's backyard. And what we learned in the course of our work is that the harms that these jets were doing, this noise was doing, was not just local, it was regional. And it was in the towns where the military bases are located, that there's large groups of people who are afraid to speak out, but who are being harmed. And they're waiting for someone else to set an example, to stand up and fight back. And so, you know, part of what we have to do is reach out to those people. And what's happening in our area is, this is a major expansion. You know, this is not just about one little outlying airstrip where they do touch and go repetitive flights like they wanted to do there. This is about a major military expansion in the area. They want to take these jets, fly them over the Olympic Peninsula. You're going to hear more about that. Do warfare training over the National Park, Olympic National Park and Forest. They want to do more of the harms that they're already doing. Deception Park, which is our most visited state park, has warning signs up about jet noise, and and people aren't going who used to go. There are farms that are losing customers, businesses closing down. So, you know, it can't be just about not in our backyard. It shouldn't be in anyone's backyard. Now, what our organization is still having to learn is how to fight and how to be effective against what we're up against. We're fighting an adversary that has all the money in the world. They've got legal resources all they want. They've got public relations experts. They have connections to the government. They've got access to the media. They are the government. They have access to the media. They want something in the news, they can get it. And they've got the politicians in their pocket, the best politicians that money can buy. And who are we, and what do we have? We're volunteers. We don't have paid staff. Few organizations do. You know, we've been marginalized. Most of us aren't professional activists, although we're kind of learning how to become that way. So we're having to learn how to fight, and it is a hard, tough, frustrating road to hoe, as we say in Mississippi. Road to hoe has to do with cotton, and but people are fighting because they don't have a choice. It's their livelihoods, it's their children's future, it's the future of this country. So people are having to fight back, and they're learning how to do it and be effective. And we need to learn from each other, you know, how to do this. What works, what doesn't work. And as an organizer in about 30 years history of organizing around a bunch of issues, I can just tell you, we've got to be creative. We've got to think out of the box. We've got to anticipate. We've got to keep them responding to us and us just not responding to what they do. And so together, I think this organization is, it's the next step. You fight locally, you fight regionally, you fight nationally, and you build alliances. I'm very pleased to be here and excited to be part of this. So thank you.